Hello book lovers, welcome to Uncommon Reader. I'm Daniela and I'm coming to you today with a tag. Quite a few booktubers tagged me on the Get to Know My Taste, which is an original tag created by Sam at Thoughts on Tomes and Mary at My Name is Marines. So I was tagged by my dear friend Reney at Beyond Books, Stuart Griffin and Sue's Book Banter, and just recently I was tagged by Alyssa, also known as Nerdy Nurse Reads, although her version, it was slightly shorter, and I'm just gonna go with the longer version, and I'll try to do my best because these questions make me feel really chatty, so we'll see how I'll do. The prompt number 1. How do you rate books? Give a quick rundown on how you do your star readings, or if you don't use ratings, how do you evaluate books? I do use stars because I am on Goodreads, and by the way, if you want to connect, my profile link is in the info box. I am sort of missing that half star that would be more appropriate, because sometimes I want to give a book maybe a 3.5 or a 4.5, but without that half missing star on Goodreads, you'll have to settle either for 3, 4, or 5 stars. So I do use that system because it helps me maybe at the end of the year figure out how many 5 stars books I have read. Although sometimes I feel like after a few months have passed, that maybe have been too generous with certain books. So I don't know if rating books really matters. Question number 2. How do you approach reviewing books? What's your review style? Are you analytical, emotional, casual, or structured? So it depends on the book. I usually am an emotional reader, but sometimes I come across books that maybe make me think. So I could give you an example. When I read the first book of Simone de Beauvoir, her first biography, Memoirs of a Dutiful Daughter, I really wanted to be specific on her childhood stages and her thoughts. So I did write down a more structured review where I was giving notions on her life and also shared a few quotes on a specific time of de Beauvoir's life. On the other hand, yesterday I just shot a video for my Italian channel where I was reviewing Shantaram, which was a buddy read, and I will soon talk about that book too here on Uncommon Reader. And I just went for a very spontaneous review because that book was such an emotional journey for me. I just didn't want to follow any notes. I really wanted to speak from my heart. Prompt number 3. What's the book that made you a reader? Whether it was your first favorite or the one that got you hooked, what book started it all? So I really have a bad memory about my childhood, and I can only refer to the book that sort of started more of an obsession for books that came really late in life for me, because I've always been sort of a light reader. Everything started during the pandemic, because even when I moved to Italy in 2012, I would still visit USA 3-4 times a year. But during the pandemic, I was stuck here. So I was looking for other ways to travel. Although, with this book, I didn't travel that far because this author, Ilaria Tutti, comes from a region, Friuli Venezia Giulia. And this book really not only had the effect of me getting hooked on books, most especially in historical novels, but it also made me appreciate more my region. I felt a connection with the women she speaks about in this historical novel called Fiore di Roccia, which is translated in a few languages, but not in English yet. And I hope it would very soon. I will write down here on the screen the languages this book is available. And this is a book based on real facts, depicting the women that during the First World War, they would risk their lives at night with their panniers, as you can see from the picture here, from the cover. And they would have in these panniers all the ammunitions, the food, clean clothes for the soldiers that were up in the trenches fighting during the First World War. And I found that these women were courageous and resilient, and I felt a connection with them, and I felt a connection with my land. Finally, I always wanted to leave when I was a kid, so it gave me so much peace, although it was kind of a tragic book. But yeah, I felt like historical novels were such an amazing way of learning history, but also about humankind. And so I really got this amazing energy from this book, and I really started to read. And it gave me so much strength during the pandemic. Prompt number 4, do you have a genre niche? Are there certain genres you gravitate toward, or do you read widely across genres? I was just telling you how I love historical novels and anything related to history, maybe also memoirs. But I read a little bit of everything. I think there might be a couple of genres I'm not too fond of, which are fantasies and horror books, but everything else sounds good to me. Prompt number 5, do you generally prefer character-driven or plot-driven stories? I like a mix of both. That makes an excellent read, but if I had to choose, it's tough to choose, because plot-driven, like a mystery book, it's great. But if it's a more profound book, then I would choose a character-driven book. Prompt number 6, what's a book you love so much that you don't care if others don't like it? What's that one book you love enough for everyone? That was such a tough question to answer, but I had to choose one. So I went with The House of the Mosque, which was an amazing book I read last year. And I talked about in a vlog that you might want to peek if you're new to the channel, where I went up to the mountains in my region and on the border with Slovenia and Austria. So there was a little bit of also traveling and scenery from those countries. And I was reading this awesome book set in Iran, just right before and during the Islamic Revolution. It's a beautiful family saga that I loved. Prompt number 7, what's the book you love so much that if someone doesn't like it, you know your reading tastes don't align? The book or books where a difference of opinion is a strong indicator of different reading preferences. I won't name any books. I mean, I think there might be a topic of books that is sort of a signal that we don't align in our way of thinking, and that would be politics. Prompt number 8, what's your trash bucket? What books, tropes, or themes that you know are bad, but you love them anyway? Okay, so I said that I don't like romance, right? But there is an exception. So I sometimes like to read Nicolas Barrault, who is a French writer. But his books are set in Paris. Most of his books are set in Paris. And you know, Paris is my weakness. So I will read books from Nicolas Barrault. I'm not going to buy them, though. I'm going to rent it to the library. Prompt number 9. Do you have any deal breakers in books? Something that, if present, immediately turns you off from a book. Bad writing. Bad writing, it just really makes me mad. And I'm like, how could they publish this book? It happened a couple of times, and I was just like, oh my God, this is dreadful. And I'm not talking a book that, you know, I can finish because I don't like it. Just really bad writing, bad writing. It's terrible. Prompt number 10. What's the strong opinion you have about a book released within the last year? Whether it's overrated, underrated, or just a take you need to share. So I don't know if this book was actually published last year, but I did read it recently, and I just published my unpopular opinion on The Women by Christine Hanna. But I have to, ask for mercy because I didn't know she was a romance author. And thanks to those who commented, letting me know that Christine Hanna is a romance writer. I'm like, okay. But yeah, I found still some interesting parts in the book, but the overall style, I was commenting, oh, this sounded like a romance. Yeah, it was supposed to be a romance. So yeah, that was kind of a strong opinion, but I should have known better and done my research on the writer, but it's okay. Prompt number 11. What do you look for in writing? What makes a book stand out to you? It is a prose style, themes, voice, structure, or something else? Yes, all the above. Exquisite writing, wittiness, sophistication, dialogues, and maybe not too much dwelling in descriptions. Yeah, I'm very fond of certain writers, and when I come across great writing, I really feel compelled to read all I can from that author. Prompt number 12. How do you decide what to read next? Do you plan ahead, mood read, or follow external factors, hype, recommendation, ARCs? Okay, so I know somebody else said books speak to me. They are calling me. So I have many books that I own at home that I haven't read yet. But yeah, I really have this urge to read certain books. Sometimes there are booktubers that talk about books, and maybe I don't necessarily add them to my TBR right away, but I will make a note and I'll keep in my mind certain books that I'm sort of urged to read. Sometimes I have buddy reads schedules. Sometimes I rent books at the library. So when I place a hold on a book and it arrives, if it's a new book, I have to read it in 30 days, unless it's an older book, so I can renew it for as long as 3 months. So I have some time to add it to my TBR. But mainly, yeah, I decide. I think spontaneously I say, okay, I feel like going into that world right now, and that's the book I'm going to add to my TBR. So I have sort of like an emotional approach on my TBR. And by the way, there is a video I did on are TBRs fun or not? And I'll leave a link to that. And TBR are amazing for me. I love them and I really stick to them. From number 13, where do you get inspiration for your booktube content? What sparks your video ideas, other creators, trends, personal reading experiences? So of course, other creators, sometimes because of the tags, sometimes I create tags also for my Italian channel. I think life experiences, of course, speaking about what I read is very important. I love doing vlogs, travel vlogs, and sharing maybe not only aspects of the city, but also my adventures in bookstores and book hauls of books I get at the book crossing. Pretty much what any normal booktuber would do. Prompt number 14. If you could make any book go viral right now, what would it be? A book you think deserves more attention, and why? So I thought and thought, and then I came up with this title. I mean, I just finished Shantaram, which was an amazing book. It was also part of the 12 books that I would save for the apocalypse. And by the way, that video went viral thanks to YouTube recommendation. One of the books that I included in that list was The Most Secret Memory of Man by Mohammed Mugarsar, which was an exquisite book. Talk about great writing, amazing. That book won the Goncourt Prize, I believe, in 2021. But I don't know if in the USA or in the rest of the world it made such an impact. It was a very original story in this Senegalese author that moved to Paris to chase a career as a writer. By the way, that's what the writer himself was doing. And he came across this book that was written a few decades before, and this book really mesmerized him, and found out that this book had been accused of plagiarism. The author was accused of plagiarism, but the author was from his own country, Senegal, so he really wanted to figure out what happened to the author, because after he was accused of plagiarism, he disappeared and nobody knew anything about him. And he went on this quest to find out where this author was hiding, and interviewing all the people that met him. This book is also a beautiful homage to literature, because it makes you feel like through books and through writing as well, you can find the secret of life. I spoke lengthily about this book in a previous video, maybe a favorite of the month video, so I will find it and link it on the info box, because yeah, it's time to close up this book tag with the last question. Who are some booktubers with reading tastes similar to yours? Well, certainly my friend Reney of Beyond Books. We have been doing buddy reads and we love them. And by the way, stay tuned, because on the 17th of this month, finally we'll be talking about the adventures of Huckleberry Finn. That was our June read. I would say I'm very fascinated when I hear Pat of Book Chat with Pat speak about books. In fact, I did read a couple of books she recommended and loved them. And also Sue Jackson, who recently is talking about Lonesome Dove with such enthusiasm that it got me inspired to read it. So I will add that into a future TBR. Well, that's it. We made it through. All right. Thank you so much for watching this video. I thank all the booktubers who tagged me on this video, and I will tag a few others in the info box. I will see you soon here on Camel Reader, probably with the video I announced, the review of Huckleberry Finn. That was my buddy read with Reney, and also Mimi of It's Mimi Duong. So stay tuned, and happy readings in the meantime. Ciao!